In 2006, the city of Orlando, Florida was all sun and soaring opportunity. It was a place where people came to build their perfect lives. Jennifer Kesse was living that promise. At 24, she was a driven financial analyst, sharp, focused, and deeply loved by her family. She had a new condo, a serious boyfriend, and a promising career path laid out before her. Her life, by every external measure, was a picture of certainty and control. Her family was close-knit. Her parents, living just a few hours away, talked to her every day. Her routine was meticulous: work, gym, dinner. There were no hidden dramas, no visible chaos, no frantic arguments in the parking lot. There was simply the smooth, daily rhythm of a young woman poised for success. This pristine normalcy is precisely what made her sudden, complete absence so terrifying. Because what happens when the ground beneath your feet disappears without a tremor? What happens when the person you trust to call you every single day simply vanishes? On Monday, January 23rd, Jennifer left her office for the day. She spoke to her parents on the phone that evening. She was home. She was safe. She was preparing for work the next morning. Then, absolute silence. On Tuesday morning, she didn't show up for work. She didn't call her parents. Her phone went straight to voicemail. For the Kesse family, this was not just odd. It was a state of emergency. Jennifer Kesse would never break routine. She would never fail to call. The police were called and the search began. But as investigators combed through her empty condo, finding only the evidence of an ordinary morning, a shower used, clothes laid out, the bed made, they were forced to confront a terrifying realization. Jennifer Kesse had become the central figure in an impossible mystery. The key to solving the crime lay not in physical evidence, but in the psychological lies and carefully guarded secrets of the people she trusted. The search for Jennifer was about to become the unraveling of a community, exposing the potential for betrayal in the very fabric of her seemingly perfect life. The initial days of the search for Jennifer Kesse focused immediately on her inner circle, operating under the brutal rule of true crime. The crime is usually committed by someone the victim knows. This required a meticulous dissection of every alibi, searching for the crack in the web of lies. Her current boyfriend, Rob, was over 3 hours away in South Florida. His alibi was based on gas receipts and highway toll records, but investigators couldn't afford to trust a simple receipt. They had to account for every minute of his travel, analyzing phone tower pings along I-95 to ensure he hadn't made an unexpected detour back to Orlando. While his alibi held, the initial uncertainty consumed days of investigative time, allowing the true perpetrator to remain unnoticed. The ex-boyfriend also faced intense scrutiny. Did he harbor resentment? Was his claim of having moved on a lie? Police interviewed neighbors, checked his work logs, and scoured his financial records, building a comprehensive portrait of his life in the days leading up to the disappearance. The investigation demanded this extreme level of detail because a successful betrayal in a cold case often hinges on a tiny early lie designed to look like a simple mistake. Furthermore, attention shifted to Jennifer's condo complex, where several contractors were working on site that week. Were there interactions she reported? Had she made anyone uncomfortable? This required police to interview dozens of transient individuals who are harder to track, people whose simple background checks were themselves a procedural challenge. Every interviewee's narrative, however trivial, was treated as a potential lie that needed to be disproven by hard data. The sheer volume of plausible but ultimately dead-end accounts built the initial wall of confusion, transforming a straightforward missing person case into an impossible mystery. This meticulous but ultimately fruitless dissection of the inner circle's stories is precisely what allowed the actual perpetrator to remain unnoticed. The Kesse case is haunted by three major procedural failures that provided the perfect shield for the perpetrator's lies. The first failure, the delay in escalating the search, is sadly common, but the second involves the forensic handling of the vehicle. Jennifer's black Malibu was a treasure trove of potential evidence. Investigators successfully lifted a clear latent palm print from the exterior driver's side door, confirming that the person of interest had touched the car. This was a monumental piece of evidence that promised to unmask the betrayal. However, the handling of the interior of the car is a source of lasting regret. In 2006, forensic standards for DNA analysis were rapidly evolving. Police documented the interior but did not perform the meticulous DNA swabbing required to capture trace elements, hair, fibers, skin cells, before the car was released to the family. Once released, the forensic integrity of the interior was compromised forever. This decision, whether due to budget constraints or poor protocol, created a critical gap in the investigation. Had modern touch DNA analysis been possible on the steering wheel, the seatbelt, or the floor mats, the entire mystery might have been solved within weeks. This failure meant the primary physical evidence against the killer was limited to the anonymous palm print, a print that matched no one in the existing database. The perpetrator's lie was protected by the systemic failures of the investigation itself. This inability to secure definitive biological evidence is the bitter, enduring truth of this cold case, allowing the killer to remain hidden within the anonymity of a lost database entry. If the forensic evidence failed on the physical plane, investigators pinned their hopes on the digital one. Every lie a suspect tells must be tested against the cold, impartial data of technology. The key to the mystery was found in the cell phone records of Jennifer and her entire inner circle. We know Jennifer's phone was active until 10:43 a.m. on Tuesday, January 24th. The pings showed the phone moving slightly, placing it near the condo complex. The sudden, definitive shutdown at 10:43 a.m. is the digital smoking gun. It eliminates the possibility of a chaotic, unplanned event. This was a calculated, deliberate act of deception by the perpetrator, who understood the danger of a traceable signal. But the digital trail also challenged the alibis of those closest to Jennifer. Police meticulously mapped the location data of boyfriends, ex-boyfriends, and suspicious colleagues. They used phone pings to confirm the lies of presence or absence. For instance, if a suspect claimed to be at work in downtown Orlando, but their phone pinged a tower near Jennifer's condo at a suspicious time, their entire alibi instantly crumbled into a proven lie. This intense digital data review created massive confusion. While no one's alibi directly placed them at the scene of the crime, many had small, unexplainable gaps or inconsistent pings, moments that, while not proving murder, proved minor deception. This collection of small lies created a massive, confounding digital web, where every person seemed to have a secret, but no one had the truth. The digital battlefield ultimately reinforced the mystery, proving that while people lie, data can be ambiguous, especially when the crucial piece, the phone itself, is silenced forever. With the traditional investigation hitting roadblocks, the case was handed to psychological profilers. The profile of the perpetrator is not that of a random thrill killer. It is the profile of an insider, a person whose betrayal was based on proximity and access, what profilers call situational confidence. The way Jennifer's car was parked is the key psychological signature. The perpetrator drove the car just 1.25 miles and abandoned it at a known transient complex. Why the short distance? A random stranger would have dumped the car far away. The short distance suggests the perpetrator had a reason to be back in the area quickly, perhaps living or working near the condo complex. This person could not afford to be seen taking public transport or walking miles away. Furthermore, the manner of the abduction suggests intimate knowledge of Jennifer's routine. She was likely taken between 7:30 a.m. and 8 a.m., a short window after she prepared for work. This points to someone who knew her schedule, knew the security camera blind spots, and understood the layout of her complex, a chilling sign of premeditation and calculated deception. The profilers argue that the web of lies wasn't just built to fool the police, it was built to manage the perpetrator's own guilt and anxiety. The act of manually shutting off the phone and dumping the car so close were both acts of control and panic. This individual is likely someone who lived within a very short distance of Jennifer, perhaps a maintenance worker, a neighbor, or a disgruntled contractor whose position gave them the situational confidence to execute the crime and whose own lies are hidden behind a badge or a uniform. While the detectives battled the web of lies, the Kesse family was battling an overwhelming torrent of despair and bureaucratic inertia. For over a decade, Jennifer's parents, Drew and Joyce, transformed into relentless citizen investigators. Their efforts were not merely a search, they were a systemic challenge to the procedural lies and stagnation that had plagued the cold case. The legal fight the family undertook against the Orlando Police Department was unprecedented. They weren't just demanding transparency, they were demanding the right to investigate the betrayal themselves. Their eventual success in obtaining the entire case file, 15,000 pages of transcripts, photos, and evidence, was a monumental victory that exposed the deficiencies of the initial investigation and forced a fresh look at the evidence. This segment is dedicated to the emotional cost of the mystery. The Kesse family has spent every day since 2006 dealing with the ambiguity of the crime, the enduring question of who committed the betrayal and where Jennifer is. Their relentless activism ensures that the case remains active in the public consciousness, a constant, living threat to the perpetrator who believes their lies have won. Today, the disappearance of Jennifer Kesse remains one of Florida's most agonizing unsolved cold cases. The web of lies created nearly 2 decades ago still holds the truth captive. The betrayal was profound, the crime was calculated, and the resulting mystery endures. The identity of the person of interest, the shadow on the surveillance tape, the palm print on the car door, the silent phone, the procedural failures, they all point to a local perpetrator whose lies have been effective but are not unbreakable. The Kesse family continues their relentless search, hoping that one day the man or woman whose lies and betrayal have dominated 2 decades of their lives will finally be named. The true face of the killer is still hidden, waiting for one witness to break their silence. If you have any information, no matter how small, about the unsolved cold case of Jennifer Kesse, contact the Orlando Police Department or the Kesse family tip line. The time to expose the final lie is now.